Hello children, very good day all of you. I'm Nagashri ma'am here. I'm going to start with English today. Okay, take out your English textbooks and then let us start with block 3. Okay children? Yes, block 3. And you know what is the story's name? It is The Torch. What is the name of the block? The Torch. Okay, and the story is written by Radha Pyari Sandhi. Okay, Radha Pyari Sandhi. And you know what? Now here, let us read the story and let us discuss what it is all about, what it is trying to give us a message of what it is trying to pass. Okay, and then you have to tell me what is the moral of the story once you get to know the message of the story. Now here, once in a big city, there lived an old scientist named Dr. Ganesha who loved to help people. One late summer evening, he accidentally found a way to turn objects into gold. It happened when the electricity went off and his torch was not working. Using a few materials lying here and there, he made a new type of battery and inserted it into the torch. The torch started working at once. Later that night, he forgot to turn off the torch and went to sleep. It lay on his desk, shining on a pen stand. The next day, he found that the pen stand had turned to pure gold. Yes, children, now I have read the story out for you, the passage. So what does it tell about? It told that there was an old scientist, a great scientist with a kind heart. Okay, he was a very kind man because he loved to help people. Okay, he loved to help people and he was a scientist. He lived in a big city. And you know what happened one day? Okay, there was power cut one day, that too in summer, and then he wanted to turn on the light, but there was no light. So he found, what did he find? Accidentally he found out an object that turns everything into gold. So how did he find out that? Let us see. Okay, so when the power was cut, when there was no electricity at all, what he went in search of torch. Even we will also do the same thing, right? We will lit the lamp, or we will take the torch or any battery, batteries, an emergency light or whatever it may be. We will take it and we need light, right? That too, it was summer evening. There was no sunlight at all. And what he did, he took the torch, but the torch was not working because its battery was weak. And then he actually made, as he was a scientist, he made battery on his own. Okay, it was not difficult for him to make battery on his own, with only minimum of light. And then he inserted that battery into the torch, and you know what, it started to work. The torch was working, and he forgot to turn off the torch before he went to bed. So what happened? The whole night the torch was on and its light was shining on the pen stand. Okay, it was beaming on the pen stand for the whole night. And look here, as a result, when he got up in the morning and he saw his pen stand had turned into gold. Whatever was there in the pen stand, it also was turned into gold. You know why? Let us see why it all had turned into pure gold. Do you think it was all about because of the torchlight? Let us see, children. Over the next few days, he tried his new invention on other objects in the house. He found that they turned into gold if the torchlight was shone on them for at least half a day. Dr. Ganesha was thrilled. He thought about all the good such an invention could do for humanity. He decided to help people as much as he could. So children, don't forget that Dr. Ganesha is a very helpful man. Even though he was an old man, he did not stop working because he wanted to find one or the other thing so that it will be very helpful to the people. For the mankind means for us, for the society of the people. Okay, and you know what? From after he saw that his pen stand had turned into gold, he tried something else, and in next few days he found out that new invention means what? it was never been made before. You can see here the meaning, it has been given below, whatever the dark and bold words. Okay, such words meaning will be given on the same page below. So invention means something new, to find out something new which was not actually invented or which was never made before, okay, by anyone else. And then he found out, he invented, and you know what he found out? That he found out what? He found out an object, a new kind of object that could turn the other objects into gold. And you know what was it? It was torch, of course. Yes, it was the torchlight. If it was shown, that means if you, okay, whatever the torchlight, the light that was projected by the torch, if it is beamed over the object for more than a half a day, so for minimum of at least half a day, the torchlight should be shown on them. And then what would happen? Such objects would convert into gold. Okay, so by looking at this, he was very proud of himself and he was thrilled. That means he was really happy because he found out something new, right? And he was excited also, and he didn't think of himself getting rich, children. Please note down, what he thought was, yes, it is a very good invention so that I could help for the humanity's sake, for the people who are in difficulty. So this is what he thought. We can get to know from this that Dr. Ganesha was really a kind-hearted person. Okay, and then he decided to help people as much as he could. That means to maximum of his level. Okay, next let's see what happened. One day while he was taking a walk, okay, he saw a woman sitting on the front steps of a small house and crying silently. Dr. Ganesha went up to her and asked, "My dear lady, why are you crying?" Sniffling, the woman looked up at him and said, "It's been 6 months since I have lost my job. I can no longer pay for my daughter's school uniform and books. Even the food is too expensive for us now. My daughter is sick and I don't have any money left to take her to the doctor. What will I do?" She started crying all over again. So what happened, children? As usual, he was going for a morning walk. Who? Dr. Ganesha. And then he saw a lady, okay, sitting on the front steps of her house. And her house was really very small. And she was sitting and crying actually silently without making any noise. She was crying all alone. And you know what? Dr. Ganesha was a very kind-hearted person, right? Do you think he just walked by? No, he went to that lady. He was concerned about why she was crying, and he asked her why was she crying. And then that lady, she started sniffling, means nothing but to take a deep breath in. Okay, to take in a deep breath is known as sniffling. And then she just looked up and she saw, okay, she saw him and she told him that, okay, it has been 6 months that she had lost her job. So as there was no job for her, there was no income for her, right? As a result, she couldn't, okay, pay school fees and even for books, uniforms and all for her only daughter. And not only that, even her daughter was really sick and she wanted to take her for the hospital. But as she was left with no money, children, okay, she could not take her to the doctor also, and she had no money left for the food too. Okay, children? Yes, and she said this and she started crying again. And then you know what happened? Let's see. Feeling sad for the woman, Dr. Ganesha placed his hand gently on her shoulder. There, things will get better. Don't worry, he said. Kind Dr. Ganesha pulled something out of his pocket. It was a golden apple. So here, children, anyway, he was really very happy when he found out the torchlight, right? That could turn all the objects into gold when the torchlight was shown on them for at least half a day. So for how long it should be shown? For minimum of half day at least. So let's see what happened next. you know what, he was very eagerly waiting to help out the people. So when he saw this lady crying and when he heard all the difficulties she was facing, what he did, he consoled her and he told everything will be fine, it will get better, now don't worry. And he just took out a golden apple from his pocket and he gave it to her. Okay, and he told, yes, you take this and you just sell it in the market, and by the money, from the money you get it, you can take your daughter to the doctor, as well as, okay, some of your difficulties will be, yes, it will get a solution, right? So he told that, and you know, this lady was really very much surprised and her eyes was wide open. That means she was really happy and she was surprised and she took it, and yes, she thanked the doctor also. And you know what, she also asked, yes, she was really very much surprised and she was curious about how and from where did he got this golden apple. And when she asked Dr. Ganesha, he told that all the story about how he invented, how he found out the torchlight that could, yes, turn all the objects into gold. And it was all by accidental invention. It was an accidental invention. You can see here. That means it was invented by accidentally, it was invented. So that means it happened by chance. So it was not his intention. He didn't even have in his mind that to find out something that could turn into gold, that to a torchlight. But it all happened by chance, right? Even Dr. Ganesha didn't knew about this. So he also knew later. He just made new batteries for the torch to work. And then, yes, what it happened? It happened to turn the objects on which it's shown into golden objects. So he told all the story, and you know what, the woman heard the story and she said, thank you so much, you're very kind and all. Okay, and she told her name also. She introduced herself to Dr. Ganesha. She told that my name is Maya and I live in the small house with my daughter. And now children, let's see what happened the next day. You know, the next day again Dr. Ganesha, he decided to go to an orphanage. Okay, why did he decide to go to an orphanage? To visit the children in the orphanage and give them all the gold objects. Okay, so that it would help the people or the management who will look after the orphanage, okay, to take care of the children. What is an orphanage, children? Actually, it is a place just like an institution like school and hostels and all, where children who don't have parents, okay, or who don't have any caretakers and all will be taken care of. Okay, so that is an institution where children who doesn't have any parents, or if they are, yes, left out with no caretakers and all, then such children will be taken care of in place called orphanage. And you know what? He hung a small bag on his shoulder and then he was on his way to the orphanage. Okay? Actually, it held 2 gold items for the children in the orphanage. There was only children, how many items? 2 golden objects, gold items. Okay, it is really huge, and he had worked out to turn the 2 gold items into gold, okay, the previous day, and he was carrying it along with him, okay, to the orphanage. And you know what happened on his way? Actually, he saw Maya again sitting in the same place where she was sitting and crying. Okay, she was sitting on her front steps again. Front steps means what? The steps in front of your house. So she was sitting in the same place and again she was crying. And this time the Dr. Ganesh again asked, why Maya, why are you crying? Why isn't your daughter well? So what happened? But this time, you know, what did Maya tell? Maya told, no, she is well, but her school, whatever fees and all, it is too expensive. I couldn't whatever pay the fee for her uniform, school, books and all. with what you gave me yesterday. And you know what? Again she started crying. Okay, what do you think, children? So she's taking advantage of the doctor's help, right? Yes. Look here now, seeing Maya in distress. That means, what is the meaning of distress? That means someone who is in sorrow, who is extremely sorrow. That means who's very, very sad. Seeing Maya sitting very sadly, okay, Dr. Ganesha decided to give her the gold, the two items which was he carrying to the orphanage in his bag, okay, and he gave the two gold items he had in his bag to Maya. And you know what? Suddenly Maya's face was shining brightly. She was really very happy and excited. That is the meaning of beamed. Okay, so that happiness was shining on her face. That is known as beamed. And you know what? What he had in his bag, children? What kind of objects he had in his bag? You can see here. He had a big golden ball and a doll. Okay, large golden ball and a golden doll he had in his bag. Look, he gave this to Maya. And then, okay, she saw as the scientist was walking away, okay, back to his home. What did Maya think? She became greedy, okay. She thought, yes, he's really very nice man. He's so generous. That means who is willing to share the things which belong to them, okay. So that is the meaning of generous. But you know what? She thought, I should ask him for more gold, and she became greedy. Yes. So after that day, she kept on asking for one more gold and another gold. She kept on asking continuously whenever she saw the scientist walking by her home. And now the battery had only little power. So the power of the battery had reduced, and even the torch could not work as it was working in the earlier days. Okay, so it was working only once in 2 days. Okay, so just think how much she took the use of Dr. Ganesh, how much she might have been asking for the more and more of gold. And you know what? As Ganesh told, no, actually, he didn't give reason, okay? He just, okay, he was giving once in 2 days. He didn't even say no. He was actually so generous and so kind. She made use of that. She actually misused of this behavior, this generous personality of Dr. Ganesh. And then she was angry because the torch could not work for more than once in 2 days, right? So Dr. Ganesh couldn't give her more and more gold as he used to give in earlier days. So what did she think? She got angry. Instead of feeling thankful and grateful to scientist, she felt angry, and she also thought that Dr. Ganesha was too old. That's why he's very slow, because he's old and he cannot provide her as much as gold that she wants. So you know what did she decide? She decided to steal the torch from him. Okay, yes children, she decided to steal the torch from him, and she thought to keep it for her own use. And you know what? That day, night, when everybody were asleep, okay, even when Dr. Ganesha was asleep, Maya actually, okay, she sneaked into the house of the scientist. What is the meaning of sneak? That means to move in quietly without the knowledge of anybody else and without the permission of anybody else, without taking the permission. She went inside, and you know what? She reached his home. She went inside quietly, and she, yes, stole the torch, children. Look at her greediness. She stole the torch, and soon she came back to her home, and she reached her home. And you know what she did? Yes, she turned on the torch, and she actually tried to make it shine on the plate that she had in her home. And then actually the plate did not what? It did not turn into gold, because we know that it cannot work more. It has been weak. The battery power has become weaker, and it will work only for once and twice, right? Once in 2 days. So she didn't knew that, and she was not at all ready to think about it. And moreover, she has stolen it, and now she was eagerly waiting to turn most of the objects to gold. And then she shone it on the plate, and of course it did not turn into gold at once. Okay, and then for as long as she could, she shone the light on the plate, and for at least half a day she did it. And you know what, even for half a day she didn't have patience to shine the torchlight on the plate. So what did she do? Okay, she didn't even knew anything about the torchlight. She tried it again and again, repeatedly she did it. And then, yes, all of a sudden, as a result, when she repeated this action again and again, the torch began to smoke, children. That means what? Okay, that means the torch has been damaged, right? So the smoke was coming out from the torch because she was turning it on and off again and again repeatedly for many times. And even the glass of the torch was cracked. Okay, it broke and it no longer worked. And you know what? Look how is she sitting. Yes, she started crying and she realized of her foolishness. That means, yes, she stole the torch. She ashamed the work of Dr. Ganesh. She didn't give any respect. She thought he is a fool who helped her so much in her difficulty times. So she thought how foolish she was and how greedy she was. And yes, it was all the act of greediness. Greediness means to want more, more and more. Not only more, children, to want more and more, and especially to, yes, to accept whatever the more help of from others and more gifts from others, to desire more and more gifts, more and more things, and more whatever it might be. Okay, help from others is known as greediness, children. Yes, and because of this she felt too embarrassed. Embarrassed means she was ashamed of herself, and she thought, yes, from now onwards I cannot show my face to the scientist who helped me so much, and of course he will get to know that I am the one who stole his torch. So she felt embarrassed. That means to feel uncomfortable because of her act, right? She went and she was a theft. She did the theft and she stole. So all this act was really shameful, right, children? So she was embarrassed of herself and she decided to leave the place and to move to a different city. Okay, so she shifted very soon. The next day only she shifted her house and she moved to a different city, to a new city, and she never met him again. So what happened, even Dr. Ganesh also got to know about the theft, and he felt very sad. He thought, actually I decided to help the people, to help the mankind, but what happened? Yes, it all led to a disaster. So I should never invent anything again like this. He decided like this because it will make people greedy. So he decided I should never invent any such device which will make people greedy, so greedy. So look, children, okay, this is what all about. So you know what message it is trying to give us. We should not be greedy, and yes, we should be kind hearted, but we must be careful also. We must not be fool, children. Look at Dr. Ganesh, what he had in his mind. He had in his mind to help lots of people, right, who are in difficulty. But what happened? Because he was believing Maya so much, he was believing in words of Maya, he thought, yes, Maya is a poor lady who was all alone, who had lost her job also, and who had a small daughter. So he went on, he continued helping her. Okay, so he didn't even think about the the advantages and the disadvantages that could lead him by helping her so much. So one should teach all of them to earn on their own. They have to stand on their own legs, and yes, of course, even if they have to get some help, okay children, to some extent they have to get help from others, and later they should start living on their own. They have to work hard, right children? Otherwise they'll become lazy and they will start becoming greedy also day by day if they get everything free of cost. Yes, so look here children, this is what all about the torch, which was accidentally invented by the old man who was very kind hearted, that is Dr. Ganesh. So did you like the story children? Yes, and now look here, I'll be giving you notes, and I will be, yes, giving you whatever notes which are related to the grammar part also. By then, please read this lesson once or twice. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye.